My sister is 27 and I'm 18. We lost our dad a year ago. He was our only parent as our mom was never in mine or my sister's life. Our dad left a good chunk of inheritance money for me and my sister. She instantly blew her inheritance on luxury items like new cars and renovated her house. My brother-in-law wouldn't allow me to stay with them, so I'm currently living with my aunt at her house. I want to become a doctor and haven't picked my branch yet, but I know it's going to be expensive. My sister and I haven't been close ever since she got married to her chronically ill husband who was allowed to make backhanded comments about my dad and mock his illness, then make a scene at his funeral. This was all allowed because he's ill and shouldn't be held accountable for his behavior. I've distanced myself, but recently my sister kept visiting and venting about my brother-in-law's condition. He's been in and out of the hospital for heart problems and in need for a surgery. She brought up my inheritance money several times, but I ended up cutting the conversation short whenever it was mentioned. She then straight up asked if I could help pay for her husband's surgery and she'd pay it back in less than a year. I felt uneasy because if I give her the money, then there's no guarantee she'll pay it back before it's time to pay for my tuition. I'm taking a gap year, but I know my sister can't pay that much back and I felt like it would be risking my future. When I refused to help, she had a meltdown at my aunt's house calling me heartless and cruel with no empathy. She said that her husband's health should be priority and I needed to help her because education is nothing compared to someone's health. She then asked if I'd be happy to see her as a widow and my nephew with no father. My aunt suggested others pay, but most of them cut my sister and her husband off. I argued that her husband's poor health isn't my fault after she kept blaming me and guilt-tripping me. She kept crying, and although my aunt decided to stay out of it, she said I should be prepared for permanent damage in my relationship with my sister if I don't help her now. She's been sending texts and pictures of her family telling me that this is what I'm saying no to, a happy, healthy family with a healthy husband and father. I broke down and I feel like I'm being a terrible aunt and sister. However, when I asked my friend for advice, he said that let them sell their cars and luxurious stuff they bought to afford the surgery and warned me that if I give her the money now, I'll never get it back and may not be able to go to medical school. Am I wrong for refusing to pay for my brother-in-law's surgery? I'm 30 and my girlfriend, 27, is Indian. She moved to the US a few years back. I'm American, white if that matters, and we live in North Carolina. My girlfriend loves to cook. She told me so on our first date. However, I'm not the biggest fan of Indian food. I found that a lot of spices used in Indian food irritate my stomach and I have a very low tolerance for how I have to get used to it. I insisted and she said that she'll only consider giving up cooking Indian food if I give up cooking up meat at home. She's vegetarian because she doesn't like the smell of the meat being cooked. I told her that it was unfair to ask because she never objected when I cooked meat at my apartment. She told me that she's only demanding that I give it up because I'm doing the same thing to her. I got quite mad and told her that she was being extremely unreasonable as I need meat. I work out a lot and I need protein, but she doesn't need Indian food all the time and she can order takeout if she craves it. She told me that restaurants are not very good where we live and it's unhealthy to eat takeout every day. We ended up arguing for a while and now we're not talking to each other. Am I the asshole for insisting that she doesn't cook with spices? My husband's in love with an online scammer who he believes is going to marry him. My husband and I are newlyweds, both 21. We're from Ukraine where it's pretty common to marry at the ages between 18 and 21. We just got married in January. However, in March, my husband said that he wants to take a break from living together because he's depressed and wants some time alone. He said that we both wouldn't date other people and that it would be absolutely disrespectful and wrong if we see other people because he just needs time to feel better. I told him that I agree and if anything changes and he decides to date others, immediately let me know so that we can divorce because I'm not okay with extramarital stuff. He said yes, he would let me know, but he's not interested. Well, I just found out that he started the break on March 28th and then registered for a dating site on the same day. On April 1st, a girl had already messaged him and they've been talking every day and are in a relationship. I even asked him 2 weeks ago that if he had a girlfriend, I wouldn't be mad, but to tell me the truth so we can divorce. Because he stopped texting me or answering the phone, but he lied. I only found out yesterday because he said that we need to divorce immediately because he's marrying someone else. However, I don't think she is who she says she is. He says that she told him she's 18, working in Poland, but Ukrainian and will come to Ukraine to be with him, and they'll marry and be together forever because she's perfect. He would never hurt her. Why would someone in Poland look for someone in Ukraine without even being here physically? Why would she go into a war zone? The biggest thing is that he's never heard her voice and she won't send a picture or talk on the video call with him. I'm pretty sure it's a 47-year-old Ukrainian man living in a basement. What hurts the most is that he asked for a break on March 28th and then replaced me immediately like it was nothing. He calls her the exact same nickname he called me from all the nicknames he could have chosen. He writes her the exact same words that he wrote me when I met him online and we were dating. He showed the messages he sent her. He lied since April and only now told me. It's like I'm completely replaceable. What should I do with my husband being in love with an online scammer that he believes is going to marry him? I work in phlebotomy and I like my job despite some of the craziness that happens, like what I'm about to share. So it's pretty shocking and funny how many people say that they're terrified of needles. I mean, these include grown men, and whenever they come to the lab and I need to take their blood, they're always sweaty, shaky, some of them cry and feel faint all over a little poke. These are adults. Shouldn't they have gotten over it by now? It can be pretty frustrating when some sit there and cry, overreact before, during, and after the procedure because it just makes my job a lot harder, especially during the aftermath of the pandemic. Plus, it's really annoying and I just want to yell at them to grow the hell up, which is kind of what happened today. So this young woman came in and she was already teary-eyed. I mean, this was before I even asked her to confirm her name. She was sitting down, palms clammy, breathing weirdly, so already she's working herself up for no reason. I'm getting my supplies ready and then she tells me that she's really scared of needles. And then she goes on and on. About how she cries whenever she's near a needle, that she feels sick to her stomach, etc. I told her point blank that she's just working herself up over nothing and she needs to stop, otherwise it's going to make my job a lot harder. She begins to try to take deep breaths, but the tears are still flowing. Now she's starting to get on my nerves. Nonetheless, I begin to prep. She then stops and asks me to 1, give her a minute so that she can compose herself, and 2, not to show her any of my supplies because that would make her more anxious. The latter was laughable because I have to have my supplies near me in order to draw blood in the first place, so I don't know where her brain came up with that. I had enough. I looked at her and said, "Look, are you going to behave yourself and let me do my job or not? If not, get out and stop wasting my time." She began to cry harder and said that she didn't mean to make me mad and that she was just really terrified of needles. I told her, "Yes, I heard you the first time. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? You're acting like a toddler." Then just really terrified of needles. I told her, "Yes, I heard you the first time. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? You're acting like a toddler." Then she says the reason why she let me know that she was scared was because she wanted me to be gentle and comforting. My God, these people are so entitled. I asked her, "Who do you think I am? Your mother? My job isn't to coddle you and rock you to sleep, it's to take your blood. If you can't act your age to even do that, then leave." She got up, still crying, had the audacity to call me sick, and then left. So I was on my lunch break, and then a coworker approached me and said that I treated that woman horribly. I told him that I was just trying to get my job done. He said that I shouldn't even be taking care of people if I'm going to act like this, and that I should pray that she doesn't file a complaint. Am I the asshole for yelling at a woman after she wasn't behaving and making my job harder? I was adopted at 3 months old. I had a dysfunctional family growing up, but I was cared for and loved. Both my adoptive parents passed away in separate car accidents, my dad when I was 17 and my mom 3 years ago when I was 24. I had a semi-open adoption, but my parents requested my adoptive parents to stop sending them photos and updates about me when I was less than a year old. I had a vague idea of who my parents were. I grew up knowing their names and I had several photos of them. I did a DNA test and was matched with 3 full siblings, which shocked me. I was always told my parents were young, barely knew each other, and wanted to further their education. About 3 months ago, I decided to Google their names and found them on social media. It turns out they're married to each other now with 7 more children they had together. I stalked them on Facebook for a bit and it seems like they have a relatively happy life. I was shocked to find out that I have 7 full siblings and that my sister, who is closest in age to me, is actually only 11 months younger. I was even more shocked to find out that I have an older, full brother who was not adopted out, who is only a year and a few months older than me. I ended up reaching out to my birth mother via Facebook, telling her that I would love to get to know her and that I've had a great life and I have no expectations. She took a month to respond, and when she did, she was surprised that I reached out and to please not contact any of my siblings as they weren't aware of my existence. I didn't respond for a few days, but I ended up just asking her why she chose to give me up and why she never told anyone about me. She responded and said that I was a NICU baby. She and my birth father were 17 when I was born and they weren't prepared to raise a disabled child. She said at the time they were under the impression that I would never live independently and they weren't in a place to have a special needs child. I was again shocked. I definitely always was in the lower priced house for growth until puberty, but according to my grandmother, by the time I was 8 months old, I was hitting all the markers for regular mental development. I have an MS in mathematics from a tier 1 university. I was an athlete in high school and I never had any issues in school beyond being really horrible in art class. I'm married with a child. I'm a fully functioning adult with a great career and a family of my own, and it hurts to know that I was given up because of the slight chance that I wouldn't turn out to be perfect. Part of me feels like I miss out on life with siblings. I was raised as an only child, and that I could still have a chance to know them and love them, and that my daughter would have a chance to have cousins. My youngest siblings aren't even in elementary school yet, and I could have a normal sibling bond with them, or at least be part of their lives from a young age, and I wish that I had that chance. I'm not angry at my birth parents for giving me away. I don't hate them. I'm hurt, but I'm not angry. I am angry that they've requested I not reach out to my adult siblings, and I'm considering doing it anyway. Should I ignore my birth parents' wishes and reach out to them anyway?
Y'all have been bugging me so much to tell you another story time. And honestly, I'm a little bit hesitant to tell you this one because it is really messed up. Okay, let's just rip off the band-aid. Okay, so back in 2017, I had this friend. Not a really good friend, just a friend named Abigail. Abigail had invited me and 2 other girls to have a sleepover at her house. And that was probably the worst decision she's ever made. It's the night of the sleepover and I get my stuff, you know, I'm on my way to her house. I get to her house, I meet her mom, I meet her dad, I meet her siblings, and I meet her cat. The cat's name is Sunshine, and Sunshine was born blind, and Abigail has had the cat since she was born. Oh my God. And when I tell you, Abigail loved Sunshine. She loved Sunshine. Sunshine would sleep with her. She literally had pictures in her room of her and Sunshine. Oh my God. Because Sunshine was blind, she was not allowed outside, obviously. Everything's going good, you know, we're having a sleepover, doing sleepover stuff. 1 o'clock comes around, everybody's pretty tired and everybody wants to go to sleep, but I don't want to go to sleep. I should have just gone to sleep. Okay, but they should not have left me alone with Sunshine. Let's just get that straight. At like 2 o'clock, these bitches were, you know, sleeping, knocked out. Some of you know I was a pretty bad kid back in my high school years, and I like to, you know. So I had the brilliant idea, another one of my brilliant ideas, to go outside and, you know, just so I could go to sleep. So I could go to sleep. I tippity-toe my way downstairs. I opened the back door. This cat was not blind. This cat could not have been blind. I stand by this statement. This cat made a fucking beeline out the door. Just. Sunshine was not blind, okay? I stand by that statement. Her backyard was not fenced. As soon as that cat went out the door, I was like, oh, fuck. Ran right after that cat. And I'm not an athletic person, but when I tell you I ran as fast as an Olympian, I ran as fast as an Olympian, okay? It was dark and I could not see where Sunshine ran to, okay? I was looking for this cat for 2 hours. 2 hours. I was jumping in people's backyards. I was climbing fences. I was checking gutters. 4 o'clock came around and I came to the conclusion I was not going to find Sunshine. So I went back and pretended that I was sleeping the whole time. Abigail woke up and realized Sunshine was no longer with us and she became very distraught. I'm so sorry.